All right, all right, all right. What's going on, people? What it do? What it do? What it do? It is the favorite sports podcast host, Sportsman CEO, in the building. Not in studio, not directly in studio, but of course you know where I am, where I always am. Instagram Live, all right, IG Live. You know what it is, at Sportsman CEO. So you know we got some scores. We gonna get to. We gonna talk about Sixers draft. We gonna talk a little bit about the two players that they drafted. I got a couple other things sprinkled in that I'm going to get to. We'll talk about some free agency too as well. I got some updates on some free agency and some other stuff for you. So sit tight, buckle up, and you know what? Let's get to it. Again, first of all, if y'all didn't pay attention, I put out a message, just did a video earlier to let y'all know that I was going to be late. So apologies for my tardiness once again. Nonetheless, here we are. Here we go. All right, Major League Baseball scores from yesterday. Okay, Cardinals blanked the Guardians 7-zip. The Yankees beat up on the A's 12-5. The Mets get beat up on by the Pirates 12-1. Phillies get by the Braves 2-1. The Rays fall to the Orioles 5-1. The Blue Jays get by the Red Sox 5-3. The Padres fall to the Reds 3-2. The Cubs get blanked by the Astros 2-zip. The Rockies get by the Brewers 4-3. The Dodgers get by the Royals 5-1. The Giants fall to the White Sox 5-2. Yes, 5-2. The Mariners get by the Rangers 6-4. The Nationals beat the Angels 7-4. The Marlins fall to the Diamondbacks. They beat the Diamondbacks 6-4. And the Twins get blanked by the Tigers 3-zip. In the WNBA yesterday, the Liberty and the Dream. The Dream take that at home 90-81. The Sparks fall to the Sky 92-85. The Aces get by the Mercury 84-81. The Sun fall to the Lynx 102-63. And the Storm fall to the Valkyries 84-57. While I'm here, since I just gave you those WNBA scores, right? Just gave you those scores, right? WNBA. Y'all know what it is. The league is growing steadily as we speak right now. But if you have not seen the post, if you have not seen the news, the WNBA has now awarded an expansion franchise to the city of Philadelphia, coming in 2030. All right, let me see, who do we got? We got Detroit in 2029, Cleveland in 28, and Philly in 2030. So shout outs to the WNBA, shout outs to Philly, who I feel like is long deserving of a WNBA team. A lot of good basketball here, pro, college, and I think that's one thing that's missing from this hotbed of sports, if you will, for the Philadelphia area, surrounding suburbs and the tri-state area now. Other people don't have to rely on the New York Liberty. Now you can come down the road a little bit and hang out with the Philadelphia team, right? So starting in 2030, WNBA expansion to Philadelphia. All right, so let's get into some of this free agency. Now, just mind you, all right, I'm giving you this news on free agency, but free agency does not legally start until 6 p.m. this evening. So we're probably in about 17 minutes, all right, will be legal. And all of these deals that I'm telling you will begin to come to fruition, all right? So most of these deals are like agreements, tentative deals, until they can officially make them official during the free agency period, which starts at 6 p.m. today. So going back just a little bit, I'm just going to give you a lot of it. So just take it for what it's worth. And then I'm sure throughout the next week or two, I'll have more updates, and all through social media, all through the week, I'll probably have some updates for you as well. All right, so the Bulls are trading Alonzo Ball to the Cavs for Isaac Okoro. Restricted free agent Davion Mitchell is set to sign a 2-year, $24 million deal to return to the Heat. Condolences to the family. I wanted to put this in there and it's mixed in, so I almost missed it. I'm glad I paid attention. Dave Parker, 7-time All-Star, dies at age 77. So condolences to his family, condolences and prayers to his family and to the Major League Baseball family for losing Dave Parker. He's actually, and ironically, he will be inducted into the Hall of Fame next month. Russell Westbrook has signed with Tel Aviv on a 3-year, $150 million deal. The Jazz are trading Colin Sexton and the 2030 second-round pick to the Hornets for Yusuf Nurkic. The Sixers are declining the team option for Lonnie Walker IV. The Heat's Duncan Robinson is declining his $20 million early termination, and he will become a free agent. Bojan Bogdanovic retires from the NBA after a 10-year stint. James Harden signs a 2-year, $81.5 million deal to stay with the Clippers. Bobby Portis is set to sign a 3-year, $44 million deal to return to the Bucks. Eric Gordon is declining his option, becoming a free agent. The Blazers have bought out or will buy out former number 1 pick DeAndre Ayton. Jabari Smith is set to sign a $122 million extension with the Rockets. Kevin Porter Jr. will decline his team option and become an unrestricted free agent. LeBron is going to pick up his team option for $52.6 million with the Lakers. There's an investigation into Pistons guard Malik Beasley for gambling and prop bets involving the NBA. Lakers Dorian Finney-Smith is declining his $15.4 million player option, free agency. Sixers Kelly Oubre is picking up his $8.4 million option, returning to the team. OKC center forward Jalen Williams is set to sign a 3-year, $24 million extension. Julius Randle set to sign a 3-year, $100 million extension to stay in Minnesota. And some news, and I think this is great news. You all probably have seen the story for a long time. Hansel Emmanuel, the young man that has one arm that has been forever, for a long time, making waves around the basketball scene, has signed a 2-way contract with the Houston Rockets. Excuse me. So, folks, that is your news updates, scores, and a little bit of free agency there. Now, some things I want to get to. So, of course, I want to talk some Sixers, right? Definitely want to do that. And, when I do that, I'm going to talk to you about the 2 draft picks. All right, I'm going to give you some information on them, their weaknesses and their strengths. And I'm going to tell you in my thoughts how I feel like these players can fit in with this Sixers team, and how they can fill spots and possibly get minutes early in their NBA careers. If you remember, also a few weeks back, I gave you a top 10. Well, not the top 10, but I gave you the basketball positions and their responsibilities. Came across another article that has a little bit of a different take on the responsibilities. So I'm going to get to that and talk about that. And then if I have enough time, I also want to talk about, remember I gave you the archetypes of basketball players, right? Came across something else, and it is about the missing art, what has taken away, the archetypes that were taken away from today's game. So if I have time, I'll get to that. If not, I'll definitely hold this for next week. All right. So first thing I want to do, I'm going to get to the basketball positions. I'm going to do that first. I'm going to get to the basketball positions. All right. Shout out to anybody that's tuned in. Like I said, I'm on Instagram at SportsRapCEO. You know that. You know where to find me. So chime in if you will. I'm sure I was a little late, so I'm sure some people are probably just catching up. So for this thing, I said, like I mentioned to you a couple weeks back, I gave you the basketball positions and their responsibilities, right? That's what I did for you. And we talked about it a little bit. I broke it down. I agree with most of everything that was on there. And again, I said, as I'm doing research for today's show, I came across another another article, another, I guess, interpretation, if you will, of the same 5 positions and their responsibilities. Rock Hair Forever. Thanks for tuning in, good brother. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Appreciate you for tuning in as always. Let's see there. Cousin Daniel Henderson, all the way from Sicklerville, New Jersey. Thank you for tuning in as well. I definitely appreciate the support. Let's make sure I get that 6860. Make sure I get everything correct in this Instagram. So, getting back to these basketball positions. All right. And last time I did it, I went in the order that I think, as we typically go, if you're in the basketball head, you know, positions had numbers when you should get into your coaching and your scheming and your planning. The point guard was the one, shooting guard was the two, so on and so on. So small forward, power forward, center, 3, 4, 5. This time when I did it that, I went through the order in succession, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This time I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to go backwards this time. I'm going to start with the center, all right, and try to remember what I said the last time. If I have enough time, you know, it's coming into the 4th of July weekend, but if I have enough time, or when I get to it and when I think of it really, really good, I'll post them again and we'll talk about them again. Like when they're side by side, we'll talk about it and I'll put it up on social media and you can comment and give me your thoughts on it and how things are different and what things are, could be the same. So at the center, right, it controls the paint. They're strongest in rebounds. They protect the rim. They set hard screens, usually the tallest player, and they're great at boxing out. So again, like I said, some of these things are different than what I brought to you the last time. But again, all of these attributes to me fit. Again, like I said, some of them are a little different, but they fit. Let's see. Nate G 78. Thank you for tuning in as well. So again, I like the fact that it says they control the paint, and we know that because that's the center. Unfortunately, today's game has changed a little bit on that, so I'm not 100% sure how that fits. But for all intent purposes, the center, yes, does control the paint. They're usually the strongest at rebounding, of course, because they're the center. They're the big, as we like to say. They're usually the tallest player on the court. Typically, when we had the tallest player in the era that I grew up on and the era that I played in, the tallest player was usually a power forward or a center. More times than not, the tallest person was the center. All right, so now we have this positionless basketball and these things that change the system. And now we have, like I said, positionless basketball. So now you have bigs that shoot threes, and it's no real traditional low post down to big playing games inside out like the era that I was in back in the 80s, 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, in that era. But again, the same thing set for this. I agree with everything on this list. You know, like I said, it was two differences from the last list, but I agree, right on point still as well. Power forward, the 4. They're sometimes athletic, which is now definitely power forwards are more athletic. They set good screens as well. Physical play, yes, they do get physical. They crash the boards, yes. They drive with the ball, and they help teammates get free. Right. I like that. The one that I do like the difference is that they drive with the ball. I also like the fact that this says they help teammates get free. So that's them setting those good screens, being that physical presence, right? They crash the boards, you know, and sometimes, well, in today's game, they are athletic now at the 4 because the 4s are now they have a 4 and then they call what they like to call now a stretch 4. And again, this is all because of the way the NBA now has changed, where everything is centered around the 3-point line. And if I get to it today, or when I do get to it, when I talk about the other article about the archetype of the players that are missing from today's game, you'll understand it a little bit better because they kind of incorporate how the 3-point line has changed everything, or a lot of things in today's game, as opposed to what things were present before now. All right, moving into the 3 spot, the small forward. They had the most balanced role. Scores and defends well. Good rebounder. Can adapt to situations. It's good from the mid-range and the quick thinker. I think this is good. I like these. I think this is a totally different list from the first list that I had for the small forwards. But I like the fact where they lead off with the balanced role, the most balanced role. I think your small forward is your utility man. A long way back, not a long way back, but way back when I was younger, The first person that I knew of that was called a point forward was from the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, Paul Pressey from the Milwaukee Bucks. First player I ever heard of or knew of that was called a point forward. So again, most balanced player, that means he could handle the ball, he could run the offense, but he could also play a little bit of D. He could also score. Okay, all right, I like that. And that's where they get into right to the second one, scores and defends well. They're good rebounders. Again, these guys are going to be solid rebounders. I'm not going to say how good they are. I think if they are special, excuse me, I'm just writing down some people that have joined in. Thank you all for joining in. I feel like those attributes are. The small forward would be a good rebounder or a solid rebounder. Like I think solid comes in between good, bad. When you get solid, then you get good, then you get better from there. So I think they're solid because I think you ask them to do more because they already have a more balanced role. So they have to do more things than just from where we are, the center and the power forward. So yes, I would say solid rebounder. That's the one thing I would kind of change. I'm not going to say I would disagree with good rebounder. I would just adjust it a little bit, in my opinion, and call it solid rebounder. Again, they can adapt to the situations. This is where you have that player that can just pick up what's going on the fly. All right, it doesn't have to be a timeout. It has to be broken down for them. It doesn't have to be a lot of dialogue on the court. They can see things ahead of time and pick things up. Almost like we said, somewhat of an extension of the point guard. Again, like I said, when we had that before, Paul Pressey, the power forward. But now that's going away because our point guards are now getting bigger. All right, they're good from mid range. They're not relying on the 3-point shot. If they're a spot up and they're open, the play breaks down and they're there, they'll shoot that, of course. Yes, shoot that 3-point. Absolutely. Right? If not, they are more inclined to step into the mid-range from the free throw line and probably attack the basket a little bit as well. Right? Now we go into the shooting guard. Right? They shoot from long range. This is the job of the two guard, to shoot that three. You're designated to shoot that three. You definitely need to have that in your repertoire. All right. They also can slash to the basket off the ball. You saw how good Rip Hamilton and Reggie Miller were moving without the ball. You see in today's game how good Steph Curry is moving without the ball. All right. Although they list Steph Curry as a point guard, but you understand where I'm going. All right. They make good cuts. All right. They're always moving without the ball. The things I just said. They can defend on the perimeter. They usually score the most. And they're catch and shoot specialists. That's what they do. Right? They also should be able to go off the dribble, which I would think could be added in there. But a lot of times, more than not, they are catch and shoot players. Moving into the number one, the final position, the point guard. It directs the traffic and runs the offense. Controls the tempo. He can shoot when needed. He's the best dribbler on the team. I like that part that says he can shoot when needed. All right, because that is our traditional point guard. Some things that I talked about when I gave you the last list. All right, traditional point guards are going to get everybody involved. All right, they want to make sure everybody's comfortable on the court within the rhythm of the system, within the scheme, and whatever the tempo of the game that's going on. They're going to make sure everybody is in their right place and in their right mood and in their right tempo, in the groove that they want them to be in. But also, if it comes down to it and they need to, the play breaks down and it comes to them and they need to stick that wide open jump shot, bang, they can knock that down without any issues. All right, so that would be my adding into that. Well, not adding in, just my elaboration on them can shoot when needed. They also can shoot when they need to. Okay, if they can't get everybody into the game or things are changing, the tempo of the game is changing, hence the tempo of the game, or traffic is named players are getting double teamed and leaving them open, they will shoot and are capable of making shots. All right, so that's that. Again, like I said, when I get to it, I will find the other list. I will put them side by side, post them on social media, and then we could talk a little bit more about it. Like I said, I'll give you my comments. You can give me some feedback on that. When I post it, and I'll definitely let you guys know when it's posted, or you'll see it when it's posted because you follow me all the time. So I definitely appreciate it. Thanks. Shout outs again to everybody that's tuned in right now. I said Rock Hair Forever. Daniel Henderson, Cousin Dan, Daniel Henderson 6860, Nate G 78, Jay Blake 5, my guy, Coach Lowell Rich, also my guy. Thank you all for the all continued support. And then there's TSX Emily XO. Thank you for tuning in as well. Anybody else that's tuned in, y'all know what it is. If y'all don't get on this today, it'll go up tomorrow or the next day, but you can catch it later on. But you should catch it live. You get the real feel when it's live. But I give you enough energy to give you the feel when you see it on the recorded edition. So, again, I mentioned to you all, NBA free agency begins tonight right now, as a matter of fact, okay? NBA free agency is going on right now, if you will. All right, 6 p.m. So I'm sure tomorrow morning I'm going to have some updates for you. Tomorrow afternoon, leading into tomorrow evening, there will be some definite updates for you. Again, like I mentioned to you when I gave you those tentative deals that are agreements that are in place, they can become final at this minute. It's 6:01. So I'm sure a lot of that stuff is going down. And I'm sure you'll hear some more stuff coming down the pipe, if you will. And again, as I always do, as soon as I get information, as quickly as I can, I get it to you and share it with you all. So, of course, I am back to wearing my Sixers hat. We knew it was going to be a long summer. I was taken away from it. I was still riding, and I still am riding the Eagles Super Bowl win, because we'll be the Super Bowl, we'll be the champs no matter, all throughout the season. We'll be the champs until we get to the next Super Bowl and somebody else wins if it's not the Eagles again. So we're going to ride this thing all the way through. But I'm wearing, and I'm back with my Sixers because I'm here bringing you some news, and I want to talk to you about the Sixers draft. I like the Sixers draft this year, and the two players that were picked, I definitely like those two players. We'll get into that in a little bit. Just to let you all know, I was looking for some people to join in today, and I know they see that I'm live, but they not here live, but they were. They commented on my post when I put it out there for my comments, and I wanted the comments. I warranted the comments. So I posted after the first pick, and then I said I posted that I liked the pick, and I gave my very short thoughts and opinions on the pick number 3 in the first round. I had some people that were a little disappointed and disturbed that the Sixers did not take Ace Bailey. In my opinion, like I mentioned last week before the draft, I would have been very, very surprised if the Sixers had taken him. I also brought up some stuff that I saw from NBA players on their podcast and other media members that said you have to go and talk to these teams. Like, a lot of those NBA players, former NBA players, understood the not working out. But what they didn't understand was the process behind it. You canceling workouts. You're not coming in and talking to these people. One of the friends that I had mentioned that he did talk to people at the draft combine. Yeah, but did you pay attention to the fact that they said that those interviews were not good interviews? So, with that being said, I really didn't think that Daryl Morey was going to take a pick on him, because you know nothing about this young man. And this young man, you're getting ready to pay this young man $11 million a year starting out. It's a lot of money. So for me, I took it as the agent and the people behind him were causing this stir. And for lack of a better reason, and this is like, I'm just being brutally honest, and you can always say you can't judge a book by a cover, so I'm not going to definitely, so like I said, for lack of a better word, I'm stereotyping here. I saw a picture of his agent, and the picture that I saw gave me the impression of someone that was just getting into the business and not fully understanding and knowing what was going on and what the magnitude of his actions and his advice to his agent at this particular time would do to the situation. They had a tough time going to Utah. They got drafted by Utah. They fell. They were projected initially going into the draft to the 3 spot, to the Sixers. He fell to 5 to Utah. Initially, he didn't go, but I saw just last week, the other day, he did end up reporting to Utah. Because at this point, you really had no choice. If this is what you want to do, you want to be a pro player, you want to be an NBA, you got to go. Now, this is where you get, and in my opinion, in a small way, this is what you get. Because these NBA teams don't owe you anything. They're giving you this opportunity to come and work out. They give you this opportunity to come and talk to you, to get to know you, get to know who you are, to see how they fit in your program, in their program, and to see what type of young man you are, what type of young man you could possibly become. You don't give them anything. How do they take that risk on you? Of course, yeah, he was good enough in basketball to have someone take a risk on him. We knew that was going to happen. But it just didn't go the way that they planned, where they were saying designated teams they wanted to go to, and then they wouldn't go here, and all of that, and then you drop down and you slid to number 5. That cost you, you want to talk about the money, cost you about $10, $11 million. Right? So, for that, again, I feel like it's the agent and the camp around and the people around him that had, again, like I said last week, that are giving him poor advice, horrible advice, and it really shows. So I hope it gets better. I hope someone in the Utah organization can talk to the young man himself and get him to begin to see some things for what they are and see how things are going, and possibly show him how they should be going. And maybe he can get a grasp on it and maybe adjust some things and make things in a better way for him. So with that being said, of course, that's Utah. And I really don't care about Utah. Everybody talks about the Sixers, but the Sixers are in a better position than Utah. Like you said, the East now is wide open. Unfortunately, with the injuries and all of that jazz. But the East is now wide open. And the Sixers have a chance to redeem themselves from last season. So, talking Sixers, talking NBA draft, talking NBA draft picks. We have the number 3 and the number 35 pick in the draft. All right. Sixers got an A minus, and a solid B for the VJ Edgecombe, and most of the reports I saw had him with at least a B for the Janai Brown. So, first and foremost, VJ Edgecombe. I told you all from the very beginning. See, Jay Blake comes back on the last quick topic. He said, I agree, very bad management, and he's going to be hard to market. Yeah. And you know, it kind of serves him right. Like you said, it's going to be hard to market. And now you went to a small market. You went to Utah. Small market. Give you some things to think about, young man. Give you some things to think about. So, yes, VJ Edgecombe. What I said to a lot of people when I started hearing his noise, when I start hearing names, I immediately do my due diligence. I do my research. I start my research. So I Googled, got some YouTube video, and did some research and got some notes. The young man picked his game up second half of the season for Baylor University going into the tournament. Okay. Also, again, if you want to make light of some things and you want to make notes of some things, VJ Edgecombe helped his team get to the tournament. They got bumped out by Duke. Understandable. Ace Bailey did not lead his team to NCAAs. 15-17, 2 games under 500. I don't exactly know what Baylor's record was, but Baylor's record was good enough to get them into the NCAA tournament. But anyway, I told people when I saw his YouTube highlights, the first thing I noticed that there was immediate defense involved in it. So I'm thinking initially that, okay, this guy's going to be heavy on the defense. And then all of a sudden I look and it changed, and then there's a mix. And this is like the first time, for me, the first time that I've seen a highlight reel that has immediate defense mixed in. Typically, when you see highlight reels, you're watching offense the majority of the time. You may get a couple plays here and there where there's a defensive play, like that particular player made a great defensive play. You may get that thrown in, but not just like regular defense. in the flow of the game defense highlights that were in the mix. So I like that in his highlight reels. So again, very humble and hungry young man. The reports were out that he was a little nervous at the official workout, but he had a good camp and a good combine, and he had good interviews, and he had a very good interview with the Philadelphia 76ers. Again, very humble young man, hungry young man from the Bahamas, and the young man even mentioned in one of his interviews that he had to live off of a generator. So we know that we're going to get everything out of this young man because, in essence, going and he went as high as number 3. The Sixers, again, you say anywhere you go in the draft, it's life changing. But when you go top 3, and coming from what he said he comes from, you talk about life changing. It's life changing. Definitely life changing. All right, so his strengths: his elite athleticism, his defensive playmaking, his sound defensive motor. He flashes of athletic slashing, capable of being a spot-up shooter and cutter, excellent in transition, and his playmaking chops. Playmaking. Saw that in his video too. He's a willing passer. He makes plays. He makes basketball plays. I love the defensive playmaking. He makes plays on defense. He creates steals, all right, not just off the ball. He does off the ball stuff, block shots and steals, but he man on man, ball on ball defense. Of course, we know about the elite athleticism that we saw. From what I saw in a couple workouts, some videos, shooting, not that bad. Definitely will probably need to be upgraded just a touch or tweaked a little bit for the NBA game, but didn't look like it's going to be that much of a problem for me when I saw him shooting around in workouts. Again, excellent in transition. In my opinion, he can be scary in transition because he's fearful, very aggressive. He will attack the basket with force. His weaknesses, his ball handling. Well, coming to the Sixers, we won't need him to handle the ball a lot, so we can work on that. His lack of counters off the dribble. Right now, that's another attribute we can work on. We don't need him to do much off the dribble. We will get him involved to where he's comfortable in transition, spot up shooting, and cutting to the basket. This is what will make him comfortable, and then we can move on to this other stuff. He's over-reliant on his athleticism. Sometimes that's a gift and a curse. I can agree with that. Yet to be a knockdown perimeter shooter. Again, like I said, I have a little question mark there for me because, like I said, some of the things that I saw, some of the videos I saw where he was a spot-up shooter, and then some of the workout videos post-draft, post-NCAA tournament, all in the middle of that, I saw him looking pretty good as a shooter, pulling up all quickly off the dribble or just standing still shooting. He's sometimes too aggressive defensively. You can live with that because you typically don't have young players that come in and want to be that aggressive. You could think of a kind of Matisse Thybulle, if you will. I was saying Iguodala before. A lot of people saying Iguodala, but you can also throw a kind of a Matisse Thybulle in there too with some offensive skills. Then he said he needs to add weight to play some small forward, and that'll come. He's 6'5". So, yes, he could play a little bit of small forward, but he will have to gain some weight. But I feel like he's going to get some weight regardless of whether he gets to the position where he plays that small forward or not. Okay? So, Johni Broome, his strengths. He's 6'9" from Auburn. His strengths, he's a high-level post scorer. He has a great motor. His intangibles, quality playmaking and facilitating. He can be used as a dribble handoff hub and a short faller. Yeah. Quality post, help defender, great rebounder, capable back cutter. So what this basically says is he could be an addition to Yabu when we play small ball. And you can play him at the 5 and put Yabu at the 4, which I like Yabu better at the 4. It also says he has playmaking ability. We saw that. He's a left-hander. He can step out a little bit and shoot that mid-range. He can shoot the college three. I did see him hit a couple threes in a little shooting around the media day. But, that's still something that I would like to see in the context of like training camp or in a game before he got comfortable doing it on a consistent basis. And he's a fifth-year senior, so he's very mature. He is a grown man coming into playing with grown men. His weaknesses, his poor athleticism, vertically is lacking. His verticality is lacking. His limited perimeter shooter, subpar lateral quickness. He could struggle defending switches. Unreliable shooter off the catch. Has a niche skill set that could limit his portability. So again, I understand. I see what they're saying here, and these are basketball critics, and I get it. But these are scouting reports, and everything that I gave you in those scouting reports, weaknesses for both of those players, are things that I don't feel the Sixers will be asking him to do right, asking either one of them to do right away. I think those are things that the Sixers will work them into eventually. They'll let them get a feel for the game with their own niche. Then they'll kind of spoon feed them extra as they go along to get them ready to be the successes, to hit that peak or that ceiling that people think that they will hit, or that the Sixers feel like they will hit. So, folks, we talked about how these two guys, their stats and everything. We talked about how I think, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit before I go about how I think they would fit with the Philadelphia 76ers. I just briefly started with Broom, and I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to stay there with Broom, and I talked about him when the Sixers could possibly go small ball. Again, I didn't like Yabu at that small ball 5 because I felt like it'd take away from his offense. And at the time when he was playing small ball 5, there was offense that he was capable of that we kind of needed. So now with Johni Broom in the game and you play small ball, you can put Johni Broom on that 5, okay? Because he's the rookie, he'll be the expendable one with the fouls and all types of other situations. And then we can get some offense that we needed in that small ball run lineup out of Yabu, okay? I like the fish. I like the fact of McCain coming back. Okay. I like Kelly Oubre, who can also switch between the 2 and the 3. I'm hoping that the big fella can come back healthy. But where I see VJ fitting in now is that wing defender. And I know I said he's 6'4", 6'5". They say he's going to need some strength to play that 4. Again, with this position as basketball, you will find that you will come up with minutes, or you will see minutes where you can play him at the 3 with other specific pieces on the floor with him. All right. I feel like you could play him with the Maxey and McCain. You could play him with the Maxey and Grimes. Okay. And he can handle that tough defense on the wing, which saves Maxey and Grimes, or Maxey and McCain, for the offensive end. All right. So I think it'll fit. And again, like I said, you don't have to run plays for him. He'll get his buckets in transition. All right. He'll play defense. He'll get some steals and probably get his own buckets that way. But he's also has shown that he could be a capable spot up shooter. And the reason I said that it probably needs to work on, because the recovery, the reaction time for the NBA is a lot quicker than it is in college. So his shot is he's going to have to work on that motion and understanding that timing and being able to get that shot off. Right, because sometimes he'll be wide open, and then there are times where he won't be that as wide open as he thinks he is, and guys will get back and be able to close out or defend those jump shots on that spot up. So, but I think that will come. Like I said, that's going to come with training camp and coaching, and him possibly getting minutes in real life, like preseason minutes, or maybe even summer league, playing against other pros in a pro style. It will come to him. Right. And again, I just mentioned Quentin Grimes, and I did want to touch on this just a little bit. All right, we understand that the free agency thing is coming up. We understand that we, as a Sixers organization, they want to bring back Quentin Grimes. I just saw something the other day, or was it yesterday? It was yesterday, I believe. Quentin Grimes he wants $25 million a year. I don't, as much as I want to keep Quentin Grimes around, I don't know how creative the Sixers can get with Andre Drummond opting in. I think he's getting 5 point something. Kelly Oubre, 8 point something. All right, you thinking you want to bring back Yabu. So got to give Yabu some money. And then you're thinking Quentin Grimes. And I believe he's an unrestricted free agent. So again, you might not have to give him that money right away. But it's just the fact that now you got here and you got boosted a little bit more of your credibility and your game from us, from a team that was going actually right at this particular moment, which was good for you business wise, going in a bad direction. I'm not gonna say wrong, but going in a bad direction, and you were a very big bright spot for that in that bad direction when all those injuries happened. So I get you asking for a raise. Yes, I understand it as part of the business, but I just don't think right now 25 mil is where you are. I don't think that's where you are right now. Those are just my thoughts, in my opinion. Right. So, folks, I thank everyone for tuning in. Right. We had this storm, this rain, about an hour ago, and it was like showers and slowed up a little bit. Then it poured again, and it was like heavy rains and thunder and lightning. And now I turn and I look out my window and I see the sun shining just as bright, almost like nothing has ever happened. But of course, it rained so much and so heavy that if you look outside, you will notice that it rained. So, people, if you are still on your way home, please be safe getting home. Take your time. Be careful now, because I'm sure that there are some spots that are flooded. All right, take your time. If you have some spots that are flooded, please, you should always do this, but have an alternate route. Maybe you might have to make a detour to get home. Call your loved ones. Let them know that you might be running a little late because of the weather. Do it safely, though. Use your hands free. And again, get home safe. Again, be great on purpose. Before I let you all go, tonight, Monday Night Baseball, Padres are in town against the Phillies. I hope they can get that game in, because it looks like the rain has subsided. But Padres and Phillies, Cardinals, Pirates, Yankees, Blue Jays, Reds, Red Sox, A's, Rays, Orioles, Rangers, Royals, Mariners, Giants, D-backs. And the NBA resumes on Tuesday with the Fever and the Lynx. Again, I just told you all, NBA free agency is underway. I just saw some updates. Let's see. I didn't see it. I think re-signing with the Grizzlies, Jaren Jackson, they came to an agreement, and I just saw another one. It wasn't a big name, but again, like I said, I will definitely get you all the information as I get it. Finally, one more time, again, like I always say, be great on purpose. All right. Always remember, tune in each and every Monday live here. You can also make sure you get to the bio and get the new stream link, heat100radio.airtime.pro. Get over there. You can listen to music all day, 24/7. If you are a DJ, if you're an artist, you can submit music to be played on the station. DJs or your mixes, they have to be clean. MP3 format, same thing with you artists. Mixed radio songs, whatever, have to be clean MP3 format. You can send those to DSG at 2266. DSG2266 at gmail.com. Google Drive, I can get those up for you. Also, we got advertising, sponsorships. We're here for you. Host, we got services for you. Just hit me up, DM me, and let me know what you're interested in, and we can get you set up. We also have spots available for podcasts. All right, you can be on the air if you have a voice you want to use. You want people to hear. You can have your own podcast, your own voice. Just DM at SportsRap CEO or at Simply Monica72. We can talk to you and make that happen. Make sure you follow me. Make sure you hit me at SportsRap CEO on Instagram, on Threads, and on TikTok. All right. Make sure you get the webpage, sportsrapradio.com. Make sure you check out the YouTube page, all right, the YouTube channel, and do the 3 things. You want to subscribe to the channel. You want to put the thumbs up on the videos that you like. There's a lot of content over there, a lot of great content over there. And then you want to hit that bell to make sure you're alerted when new content is uploaded. All right, and that channel is Sports Rap TV. All right. Okay. Make sure you get over there and do that. And then finally, hit that Patreon page. All right. Heat 100 Radio / Patreon.com. All right. Patreon.com / Heat 100. Or Patreon.com / Sports Rap Podcast. All right. Patreon.com / Sports Rap Podcast. All right. Get exclusive content. Make sure you tuned in. The Dell is jumping. Will be jumping very soon. Other concerts coming up. Make sure you stay tuned. All right. Sports Rap. Talk to y'all next Monday, all week on social media. Peace.